So we talked last time about defensive alignments, and we're going to talk today about defensive assignments. We'll start with just going over simple gap integrity. So as defensive players in the box, okay, this front seven linebackers and defensive linemen, we're responsible for gaps. So 5-man offensive line really creates 6 gaps. You could say the edge too, okay? So 7, but we have players out here to deal with that extra edge gap. So when we're lining up, let's just line up an Oki front. If you guys remember an Oki front, 4 techniques, 0 technique, 4 technique, and let's put a split backer set behind them. Okay, more like a 3-4 type defense. Okay. Now there's 2 ways that these defensive linemen can play, especially when they're heads up. They can play either a 2-gap set, where this guy is responsible for both A gaps. Ultimately, he's going to play one of them, but he could play either one of them. And this defender can play either one of these. And what has to happen in a 2-gap scenario is these guys have to play in tandem. Basically, what you're saying is whatever gap this defensive lineman doesn't play, the linebacker is going to play. So let's say ball flow comes this way, and this defender here plays C gap, this defender here plays this right side A gap, then this linebacker is going to play downhill in the B gap. Okay, this guy's going to do what we call scrape, okay, or flow, and he's probably going to be responsible for the backside A because we're probably thinking this guy's going to play the B gap here. So what happens with a lot of 2-gap schemes is these guys play off of the flow of the ball. So that's one way you can play. The other way is just a single gap, all right? And if you're playing a single gap, then you're telling these guys which way they're going before they snap the ball. Or you can do a combination of both. You could tell your tackles here that they play single gap and you designate, say, pinch. And you're telling them they're pinching into the B gap, okay? And then maybe you 2-gap your nose guard, and the backside linebacker plays in tandem with this guy. So again, the scenario where the ball goes this way, now, okay, let's say our nose guard played here, and let's say he is a 2-gap, this backer would play the A gap, and this backer would play over the top into the C gap now. Okay, we're assigning these gaps in a single gap scenario. We could just say, hey, when we do pinch, we want you to go to the wide side of the field, to the nose guard. Let's say this is the wide side of the field, so he would automatically go here. Now this linebacker knows he's playing here before there's any flow or anything. Obviously the same thing here. So single gap versus 2-gap for the defensive line affects the play of the linebackers too on which gaps they're going to be responsible for. Ultimately, we want to account for every single gap, guys, because if we don't, the offense is going to find it. So that's gap integrity. Obviously, when we're blitzing, so there might be a time that we call, a blitz, let's say, we're calling it a B-gap blitz. Let's just line up an Oki again. It's an easy one to show things. And we're running a blitz here, and we're calling pinch, let's say. Okay, so normally these guys are going here on pinch. Let's just say we're calling this our right and our left, or our Ray and Lou backer, or whatever you want to call it, all right? And let's say we've got a bam call on, okay? Let's say somebody calls their strong side B-gap blitz bam. So normally this guy would be coming here, this guy is whatever 2-gapping. Normally this defensive tackle here would be coming to the B-gap, but since we have this bam call, we'll just call it bam for now, this B-gap blitz, okay, then they need to gap exchange. So instead of him pinching, he would go outside here. And that's one simple way to blitz, is just to let these guys know that there's a gap exchange that's going to happen when you're blitzing that gap with the linebacker. All right. Run fits. So run fits, and you could call this leverage on the football or run fits. There's different ways people say it. The general idea is you're gonna have 3, potentially 4 things happening on a ball carrier, and this is going to affect not only how we take on blocks, but how we approach the ball carrier, which side our head is on when we tackle. And there's basically 3 things: force, spill, or cutback, and alley. Okay, and now we also want to have what I call a soft defender on every side. And that means that a guy who's back, you can't have everybody just coming to the ball, because if you do, they're going to run something like halfback pass and there's going to be nobody back here. And usually that soft player is a corner to the front side or a backside safety. So if the ball, again, we'll have the ball going this way, it's either going to be this corner to this side is the soft defender, or the backside safety coming to the play side is the soft defender. Now, let's just draw the Okie. We'll keep it consistent. Makes it easy. Okay. So, say we're playing a nickel backer out here. Okay, let's go to more of a 3-3 stack now. Just like the 3-3-5. This guy's our nickel out here. He's like an extra nickel, meaning like the 5th defensive back. He could be a linebacker type guy or a safety type guy. Just depends on what you have. But the ball flows coming this way. And we're telling these linebackers they're spill players. Let's say they're in a 2-back set. Okay? On offense, any of those. Okay? They're in a 2-back set. So they're in something like a 20 personnel. Okay? You don't see this very often, but you could. And they're running something where, you know, we're pinching a lot. They're blocking here. They're coming here. They're trying to block here. Okay. Let's just say they're kicking and leading. All right. So this guy's going to come out. Now this linebacker is a spill linebacker. So what spill means is he is spilling the ball outside. So every block that he takes on, he's going to take on the inside half and spill the ball to the outside. The force player, in this case, is going to be our nickel guy. He's going to force the ball back inside. So as this blocker comes here to block this linebacker is going to come to the inside half here, spill the ball carrier outside. Our nickel's going to take it on, leveraging the ball back inside. So we have this type scenario here, okay? Usually a safety is going to be the alley player. He's running the alley, which is between the spill and the force player. In this alley, he needs to be able to make the tackle. So that's force, spill, or cutback, alley. You'll have another defender here who plays the big cutback, who's kind of what I call slow to flow, who plays in case the ball will cut all the way back inside. And we could say our corner here would be our soft defender. All right, so that's one way you could play this. As opposed to when we're tracking the ball carrier too, this guy's going to track the outside part of the ball carrier. This guy is going to track the inside hip of the ball carrier. This guy is going to track the ball and come inside out. So the alley player is still an inside out player. Now, if we lose leverage at any point and we wind up having, you know, the ball get outside the nickel here, let's say, if you find yourself alone, you always become a spill or cutback player. You're pushing the ball to the sideline because you have that sideline always there as a force defender. So when guys find themselves in one-on-one situations, you want to use the sideline to push the guy to the sideline, always. So that kind of goes over a little bit of terminology on what we use as far as how you fit into a run fit, how you're going to take blocks on and whatnot. And that could go, you know, to a pulling guard block. If you're a force, or some guys would call force player a lever player. If you're a lever or force player and you got a guard coming to kick you out, you're going to take it on with your inside shoulder, keeping your outside arm free. Whereas if you're a spill player, you're going to come across the face of that guard, take the inside half on, spill the ball outside. A lot of guys like to say spill and kill. And there's a reason you're seeing more spill and kill defenses, and we'll go over that in a later video. But that's definitely a new trend in defenses, is to spill and kill the ball. All right. Lastly, we're going to go over keys. Now, every guy on the defense has a key, even defensive linemen. Whether their key is, if they're single gap guys and they're moving to a gap, they still have a key to fight pressure. Meaning, if I'm getting blocked one way, don't just go with the flow and go where they're blocking me. I need to fight against where they're blocking me while still staying in my gap. Linebackers, their keys may be, so a linebacker may be here. His key's the near back, and that could be a shotgun near back. Most linebackers are going to work near back first. Near back to, hey, is there mesh? Meaning, is the quarterback meshing with the running back? That's going to give run action. If there's no mesh, and we get this, that tells him hit his pass drop. Okay? So he's reading running back to mesh, near back to mesh there. And then if he does get mesh, he usually will read the front side guard here, meaning am I getting this? Because this, a pull, trumps whatever action is going on back there. If I'm getting a pull, you got to trust the pull. Play's coming back your way. Okay, so there are some keys that a linebacker will use, and everybody's different on how they coach this, so I don't want to get too much into it, but what you need to understand is everybody has a key. If you're an alley defender here, like a safety or a nickel, a lot of times they're keying last man on. So if this guy's burying his head down into a 3 technique sitting here, okay, then they know it's run and they can attack in the run fit. Versus he kicks back and it has what's called a high hat, then they know, okay, it's pass. They can get the pass drop. So that's just briefly going over keys. You have to trust your keys and trust the defense. Are they always going to be right? No, but if they're 90% of the time right, you're in good shape. Next video, we'll start talking a little bit offense.